and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking all about my reading journey, how I became a reader, and some of my favorite childhood books. Hello, how are you? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to be doing this video. I think I've talked a little bit about my reading journey and how I became a reader, but that was many moons ago. I thought it'd be fun to take a trip down memory lane and talk about some of the books that really made me the reader that I am today, really defined my reading journey in general. Really inspired to do this video because of a podcast, The Bookish Life of Jess and Tori, that is hosted by two wonderful friends of mine, Jessica from Peace Love Books and Tori from Novel Life. They have a podcast together and they kind of talked about their reading journey. There's something really nostalgic about that podcast episode and talking about like the books that defined our childhood, the books that made us readers. So I wanted to kind of like sit down and talk about my reading journey. I'm gonna tell you right now, I have been a reader for many years, okay? I've been reading since I was a wee little child. So this is gonna be a very chatty video, and I'm probably gonna like go off on different tangents, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So buckle in, grab some popcorn, grab your favorite snack, grab some wine if you're feeling freaky, and let's jump into my reading journey. What made me a reader? I remember reading books as far back as the 2nd grade. I don't really have that great of a memory, so the fact that I like vividly remember these things is wild. If you ask any of my childhood friends or people that I've known in my life, they'll tell you I have the worst memory. When it comes to books, I can like distinctly remember the books that I was reading when I was a child. It's bizarre. When I was little, I was definitely encouraged and introduced to so many books based on the people around me, right? My family does read. My dad and my mom both enjoy reading. When I was younger, my great-grandmother, she was an interesting character. She was not a very nice woman, I'll tell you that, but this is a semi-nice memory. She really wanted to encourage my older sister. I have an older sister who's 4 years older than me. My sister never really loved reading, so she wanted to encourage my older sister to be more of a reader. She started this thing that every book that we were able to finish, and we were actually like able to tell you the synopsis or some plot point of the book, we would get $20 to $50 depending on the length of the book. Now, my sister, I think she read like one book and cashed in a 20 and was like, thank you very much. I'm not doing this again. Versus me, I was finishing book after book after book to the point where my parents were like, okay, Leah, we cannot do this anymore. We cannot continue to give you money, but we'll buy you more books instead. And I was like, fine, fair deal for me. So it was definitely encouraged in my family to read books, and I'm very grateful for that. Another thing that really made me become a reader when I was younger, like at a very young age, was my teachers. I went to a really small school, and when I tell you small, I mean it was tiny. Put it into perspective, I went to the same school from preschool all the way to 12th grade. It was a preschool, elementary, junior high, high school. You just kept on moving up. I never went to another school. My graduating class was 10 people, 5 girls, 5 boys. So it was very small. I had a lot of teachers who really encouraged reading, not just for school or for educational purposes or reading classics or assigned reading, but just for like fun. Okay, so one of my earliest memories as a reader goes back to the 2nd grade. My teacher at the time, I live in California by the way, it is scorching hot during like the beginning of summer and even into fall, right? So every time we would come back from recess, from playing outside, we would be these sweaty, overheated, exhausted kids, and when you're in the 2nd grade, like you don't get naps in class anymore or anything like that. What she would let us do after our like breaks and lunches is we would be able to just like rest our head on the desks and cool down, and as we were having that moment, she would read to us out loud. The books I remember her reading to us was the American Girl stories. I think that's what they're called. Oh my goodness, I love these stories so much. It was my favorite part of the day, especially because the first one that she read to us, the American Girl, was Samantha. And I felt so special because the main character had my name. I mean, Samantha's the most popular name ever, but you know, I felt special and I was so engaged in this story. And she would adopt all of these different voices as she was reading. I'm sure it fit into her lesson plan somehow, some way, but for us, it didn't really feel like homework or schoolwork because we didn't have to do reports on them. We didn't have to do, you know, popcorn reading or anything like that. We literally just got to sit there and enjoy the story being read to us, and it was my favorite part of the day. I loved it so much. Shout out to my 2nd grade teacher. That is probably like some of the earliest memories I have of reading. What are some other books that she read to us? I did go to a Christian school, so some of them were more religious, like Pilgrim's Progress and stuff like that. I can't remember other stories. Like I just vividly remember the American Girl series because The main character's name was Samantha. I was also lucky enough to have friends and people in my class that also really enjoyed reading. So since my school was so small, we didn't really have a library. And honestly, for me being such a reader, I don't even remember going to like the public library. That was not, I mean, it was a thing. It was just not something I did or my family did. I remember taking like field trips to like used bookstores and Barnes and Noble and Borders. When Borders was a thing, we would literally have field trips going to Borders and Barnes and Noble, and I would get my little, you know, spending money from my parents, and I would buy all the cool, awesome books. And one series that I really remember reading was the Click series. I think the author's name is Lisa Harrison. It was giving Gossip Girl meets Mean Girls, okay? It was very campy, and I ate it up, and so did all of my friends. We wanted to be these girls. I loved reading these stories. I actually still have them. I do. They're in my closet, though. Should I grab them? Oh, my closet's such a mess. I'm not much of a pack rat, so I did end up donating a lot of them, which I actually regret. Let me see if I can grab some. It's like deep in my closet. I loved the Click series. Me and my friends, we loved them so much. I loved them. I don't even think this is half of them. I'm sure I even have more. And also, like I said, I don't really go to the library often. We kind of had like our own like revolving library in my school where like I would buy the first book in the series, my best friend would buy the second, my other friend would buy the third, and we would just share and trade. They're the ones that I could find. Oh my god, the memories! Sealed with a Diss. Are you joking? These titles. Invasion of the Boy Snatchers. I have a bookmark in here. What? Oh my god, what is this bookmark? A cheetah from the San Diego Wild Animal Park. Cute. Oh yes, they had the summer collection where each girl had their own story. Alicia, she was my favorite because, I mean, she was the only brown girl, so obviously she was my favorite. These boots are made for stalking. Stop, another bookmark. What is this? This I must have made because it's like this random piece of paper with just a bunch of doodles on them. 3110. That's like written all over here. I don't know what that meant. Maybe that was my locker code. I don't know. The Pretty Committee Strikes Back. These names, I can't. Oh yes, the summer collection. I remember the summer collection. All the girls had like their own book, their own story. Anyways, love that series so much, and even loved that trash movie. I don't think this is a series that would hold at all. Like literally at all. Definitely lent into some stereotypes. It had no diversity whatsoever. But yeah, it was what I read and what I enjoyed. I said I did go to a religious school, so of course I read Narnia. Absolutely ate Narnia up. I remember reading the books, watching the movies. Definitely a thing at my school. Some other popular series that I was reading at the time. Harry Potter, obviously. Not only was I reading, but I was also like reenacting all of these books, okay? I remember being on the playground pretending to be Hermione and my friend was Ginny. We had the sticks as wands, and oh my god. I would literally reenact the stories that I was reading during recess. Like I was very much immersed into that, and thank god my friends were too, or it would have been a whole different experience. Yeah, girl loved a story. She did, okay? And I was role playing it up. I was Hermione. I was Alicia from the Click series. I was a vampire. I was whatever story I was reading, okay? Okay, so what else did we read? We read the Click series. We read Narnia. We read Harry Potter. We read Percy Jackson. This is all very young Sam, okay? She's like in the 5th and 6th grade living her best life. So now we're moving on to junior high, and this is another teacher that I vividly remember. In 7th and 8th grade, I was reading a lot of paranormal romances. Again, my school did not have a library, so my English teacher, my 7th and 8th grade English teacher, loved her so much. Let me just say, teachers, y'all are actual angels, okay? Y'all are doing the hard work. You guys are such influences in people's lives, because I remember the influence my 2nd grade teacher had on me, okay? Like, it is important, and y'all deserve the actual world. My 7th, 8th grade English teacher, she had accumulated just a bunch of books, right? Some books that were like classic literature that were required reading, but also books that you could just read for fun, and she would keep them in her classroom, let me borrow and take essentially whatever I wanted, and would read those books and stay in her class during my lunch period. One of those like lunch periods of me reading, I had grabbed Dracula. Oh my god, I love Dracula so much. I feel like this is really when I became a reader. I was reading a lot, and I was reading with my friends, but this is when I was reading like a book a day. So I read Dracula, and Guys, I've told this story before on my channel. I'm obsessed with vampires. It's actually quite strange. I collect every edition of Dracula that I can find. At this point, I have like 10 plus copies. I have a tattoo on my arm. I have like a little bat for Dracula. It was one of the first classic books that I read and was like, oh, this is literature. Okay, this is peak literature. And I became so deeply obsessed with vampires. And when I mean obsessed, I mean obsessed. You still could not convince me vampires don't exist. Okay, it was a fact. It still is a fact. I would tell every single family member, friend, person in the grocery store that I met that when they realized that vampires were real and they happened to become one, the first thing they needed to do was turn me into one. And I say that with complete seriousness. Like, I was so into the vampire thing. Started with Dracula, and then I read pretty much any vampire book I could get my hands on. I remember reading, I always forget the title of this series. It was a YA series. I know the main character's name was Vladimir. I will put it on the screen. I ate that series up. The House of Night series. Oh my god, girl. I loved that series more than anything. I think there was, oh my god, there were so many books. At least 10. I remember loving Stark so much that I said that if I ever had a child, I would name him Stark because of this series. And I don't even want children. I don't even like children like that. 12. There are 12 books in the series, and I ate every one of them up. Yes, I did. Absolutely adored it. And of course, during this time, this is also when Twilight came out. So this was another one of those situations where I bought the first book, my best friend bought the second book, third book, fourth book, and we just shared, right? So this was also a time where midnight movie premieres were like peak, right? Everyone was going to a midnight movie premiere for like the Twilight series. This is when Hunger Games was coming out. This is when Marvel movies were starting to come out as well. Hispanic, okay, I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican, which means my parents are very strict. So I was not allowed to be, you know, going to the movies with my little friends. Not just go to midnight movie premieres by myself, but thankfully my dad, you guys have seen my dad on my channel. I have a series on my channel where my dad reads romance. He's read Beverly Jenkins. What else has he read? Oh, he read Fourth Wing, so I'll leave that series down below. My dad really did play a huge part into me being a reader. So he knew that I was interested in like all of these midnight movie premieres, and he would take me and all of my friends, every single one of them, and he would watch Twilight and Hunger Games with us. Read the books and he would watch the movies, and I would get to, you know, go to all these midnight movie premieres with all my friends. And my dad. I didn't mind it because my dad had the money, and that meant I got to have all the popcorn and candy that I wanted. Half of those friends I don't even talk to, but the memory of my dad taking me to all of these midnight movie premieres and actually being interested in what I was interested in, like Twilight and Hunger Games, like he probably was not interested in it at all. He was just doing it as a way to connect with me. That it's a really special moment and something. Even now, we go on movie dates all the time, just me and him. Love going to the movies. We pretty much go to the movies like once a week if we can, and we just, you know, go to the movies and eat our favorite food and just have a good time. So very good memory there. Still in junior high and high school, I was a Wattpad girly. Yes, I was. Oh, y'all don't even know The Kissing Booth. Yeah, I read that on Wattpad before it was ever a movie. Yes, I did. Okay, I was a Wattpad girly down bad. I was reading vampire romances, paranormal romances, teacher-student romances. I was reading whatever I could find. My best friend at the time, she was basically like our little publishing house. Shout out to her, honestly. I need to text her because that is so funny. My best friend at the time, she would find a Wattpad story that she really liked, go to her house, print the story, chapter by chapter, print the story. She would bind it into like she wasn't really doing like book binding, but she was basically like putting it all into a large like school binder. She would draw and create like chapter art. She would also create covers, and she would, you know, stick it in this binder, and we would pass this binder around. And Wattpad was one of those things that if it was uploaded like weekly or monthly, however the author was doing it, so anytime there was an update, she would put that chapter in and pass the binder around. I vividly remember reading like a teacher-student romance. Why we were reading this in junior high, I don't know. It was a really popular student-teacher romance, and we would just, you know, put it in this binder and read it. And it was a time, let me tell you that. Not only was she our little publishing house, but she was also an author herself. And you know what she wrote? You know what she wrote, bestie? One Direction fan fiction. One Direction fan fiction. I read One Direction fanfiction. I wasn't like a huge fanfiction person back in the day. I did read it occasionally, mostly on Wattpad, but I was a hardcore One Direction fan, and we would read it. And what's even funnier about that is that oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so this must have been the 10th grade, because that teacher was probably the most chill teacher. Really, like our homeroom and our Bible teacher in one. And don't roast me for this, guys, but like, we went to a private school from preschool to 12th grade. Okay, we were taking Bible classes literally every year. By the time we got to the 10th grade, we were like, okay, this is getting a little repetitive. Love you, Jesus, but this is getting a little repetitive. So my 10th grade teacher also agreed, and he was like, listen, just finish these worksheets, write your little Bible verse, and then like move on for the rest of your day, okay? You have 45 minutes to just chill. And chill we did. He had a projector in his class, and we would put One Direction music videos on this projector and just play it. And we would memorize the dances of this music video, and the guys would be dancing, we would be dancing. It was a full performance, honey, in our 10th grade Bible class. And this is also where we would write our One Direction fan fiction. So yeah, it's a part of my reading journey. Am I proud of it? I don't know, but it is a part of it. So I will never tell that story again. This is between me and you. All right, I feel like I really hit the core books that I was reading in elementary, junior high, and high school. Now you know what young Sam was. Honestly, not to get a little dark and deep and sad here, but young Sam was very depressed, okay? She was struggling very hard with intrusive thoughts. I don't want to trigger anyone. But yeah, I was just struggling really hard with intrusive thoughts and just not wanting to be here. And there were times that I attempted to not be here. There are a lot of times where it was just difficult to people and difficult to socialize when I felt so sad all the time. And these stories and these worlds that I was able to create while reading Wattpad or Twilight or Dracula or whatever I was reading at the time, I honestly think saved me. Being a reader truly saved me. And that's why I think I get so passionate about it when people, make fun of reading or romance or whatever it is. Like, it saved me. It was so much more than these funny, goofy little stories. Like, it really got me excited about something. Got me excited to live, honestly. I didn't even want to get up in the mornings. I didn't want to people. I didn't even imagine myself older than the age of like 16, 18 years old. There were times that what kept me going is the fact that I would get a Wattpad upload next week, or another Harry Potter book, or another Hunger Games book, or whatever. So yeah, reading as a child really shaped and formed me to be the person I am today. Okay, we're not gonna cry. Moving on. I don't know how we ended up talking about writing One Direction in Bible class to me crying, but here we are. So yeah, that is kind of like childhood Sam. Started with American Girl books. We read some Narnia, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, the Click series, House of Night series, Dracula, Twilight, obviously, Hunger Games, obviously. Did I mention Percy Jackson? I did read Percy Jackson. Fun times. Lots of fantasy, paranormal, romance. That was like my vibe. Then I turned 18 and I don't know what happened. I became an adult and the world was scary and I don't know what happened. I literally just stopped reading. Completely stopped reading. I don't really know why. And then the pandemic happened. And like many people, I was picking up, different hobbies and things that I hadn't picked up in a while, and one of those was reading. I discovered BookTube. I think the first BookTuber I saw was a Clockwork Reader, Hannah from A Clockwork Reader, and I remember her talking about The Night Circus, and I remember that being like one of the first books that I picked up at the time. And she read a lot of fantasy, so I read a lot of fantasy. The Night Circus, Strange the Dreamer. I did read some YA, like I'll Give You the Sun. Oh my god, I loved that book when I first read it. As I was reading these books, the first thing I always thought was, my favorite part of this is the romance. Like, I just want more romance. Where's the romance? And I remember thinking of Strange the Dreamer. Strange the Dreamer is the very first book that I posted on Bookstagram. I don't even know if I have that picture still up, but if I do. At the time, I had Instagram for makeup. When I was younger, I used to do like freelance makeup, just like a tiny bit. I was not a professional at all. Still not. But all of my posts were about makeup, and I remember I would do bookish looks. So I would do my makeup inspired by the book cover, and I was doing that on my makeup channel, and nobody cared. Like, nobody cared. So I was like, you know what? Let me create a separate book channel. So that is when I posted Books with Samantha. For the first time. I think I was like 23 years old. For Strange the Dreamer, I did a blue and yellow eye makeup look, and that is around the time that I discovered more romance books. I was reading Christina Lauren, so Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, Love in Other Words, their Beautiful Bastard series. They were definitely one of my favorite authors at that time. I loved all of their contemporary romances, which is funny because looking back, I don't like contemporary romances, and a lot of their books that they release now I don't really love too much, because again, I don't love contemporary romances. So it was funny, like, that is what got me back into reading. I discovered BookTube. Of course, one of the first romance booktubers I saw was Jessica from Peaceful Books. She's absolutely the reason that I got back into reading, and the reason I even created my channel. In the beginning of the pandemic, she was doing a historic romance read-along with Lisa from Remarkably Lisa and Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers. I remember creating my channel for that read-along. Literally for that read-along. One of my very first videos I have posted, I don't even know if it's up because I've untitled a lot of my videos or deleted them, so please don't scroll and try to find them. The reason I created my channel was because I wanted to do a vlog for the historical romance read-along. The first historical romance that I read was Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. What a way to start, because that is literally one of my favorite books of all time. I talk about it non-freaking stop. It's a angsty second chance historical romance. I love it so much. I have a tattoo right here that says Again the Magic. I read that one because of Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers, and I swear to you, I finished like 5 Lisa Kleypas books in 1 week. I read Suddenly You, Again the Magic, and then the entire Wallflower series. Secrets of a Summer Night, It Started One Autumn, Devil in Winter, Scandal in Spring, The Wallflower Christmas. I also read some of the Hathaway series. What is the first one? Mine Till Midnight. I read literally 5 Lisa Kleypas books back to back, and it catapulted me into loving historic. Oh no, I've been talking too long. My light died. Okay, let me charge my light and then I'll be right back. Yeah, I started reading historic romance. It's why I started my channel. If you like, again, please don't actually look at these videos, but that was just everything I posted. I would buy these mystery boxes from eBay. I was new to reading historic romance. I actually had never read historic romance in junior high and high school. You guys heard the whole story. I was reading paranormal romance. So I was reading everything. Johanna Lindsey, Lisa Kleypas, Beverly Jenkins, Julie Garwood. There was a used bookstore across from my job, and I would go there on my lunch break, and they would sell paperbacks for $1, hardcovers for $2, and I would just buy books every single day. Fortunately, during the pandemic, that bookstore closed, and when they closed, they were just getting rid of their books. They had a day where you could bring any sized bag, fill it up, and that bag was $10, no matter what you filled the bag up with. So that's what I did. I was working that day. I sent my dad with these big Marshalls bags, like huge tote bags, and he literally like went like this and dumped them all in the bags. And I do have a video of that. You can watch that one. I'll leave it down below. They were so stinking cheap. They were practically free because this bookstore was closing. And then I also bought like a bunch of mystery boxes on eBay. Now those mystery boxes are a little bit more expensive because I feel like they got really popular, but at the time they were like maybe 20 books for 30 historical romances. I also got a bunch of mystery boxes with like cozy mysteries. I started getting into cozy mysteries because of Spencer from Intentionally Bookish and Courtney from Courtagonist, and that's when I started reading like Ellie Alexander and Amanda Flower and things like that. So that was really the beginning of me getting back into reading as an adult because of the pandemic and because of BookTube. And it's really funny because the people that inspired me to make my BookTube are now my friends, and I think that's really sweet. Now I actually have a historical romance book club with Jessica from Peaceful Books called the Historical Hellions. We've been doing that for 3 years, and she's literally the reason I started reading historical romances. And then Spencer is the reason I started reading cozy mysteries, and I have a book club with her where we read cozy mysteries. So it's really fun to see how that came full circle. And again, it became so much more than reading. It became such a community for me. I met some of my absolute best friends by making videos. Desiree from Desiree Alicia, Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers. I'm such like an extreme introvert. It's a very hard for me to create connections with people because I have such bad social anxiety. But creating videos and going to book signings and being able to connect with something that I'm so passionate about, I don't know, it really is such a highlight of my life. So yeah, when I started reading again, I was reading historic romances, cozy mysteries, sometimes contemporary books. Now I read everything under the sun. I like reading bonkers, crazy books. I do feel like I kind of read a variety of genres. I like fantasy, I like cozy mystery, I like graphic novels. We'll pick up a YA book every once in a while. I'm predominantly a romance reader. I think really the only genre I don't tend to pick up these days is contemporary romance. I don't know, I don't really gravitate towards them. I feel like sometimes they could just be, it's just like a story between regular people. I need like something extra, something fantastical, like Omegaverse or poly romance, why choose something a little special. I missed some books that I read and that were important to me at the time, but that's just an overview of my reading journey. This was a really long video, how I became the reader that I am today, and this was really fun to take a trip down memory lane. If there are any books that we had in common, let me know in the comments down below. And my camera died, so this is my camera died and my light died. Wow, I just need to go. We've been talking way too long. This long, if you stayed this long, thank you. God, this was a long video. If you stayed this long, leave me the book emoji. I think I asked you guys to leave me that in my last video too, but like, this was my reading journey. It's all about books, so leave me the book emoji so I know that you watched the whole video and that we're bookish besties. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!